All right, it's Reusse Unchained presented by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold Investments. And Pat, we have a very important Vikings-related question for you after you tell the audience where they should be car shopping.
That's easy to answer. Much easier than what the Vikings should be doing. Much easier to where you get your new vehicle. You go to Brett Paul and Jim Paul's Valley Group of GM dealers, just like I do. I go to the Apple Valley store. They also have a Hastings store. They, mostly Buicks, SUVs, and my last car there was the convertible, but they got great sedans. But of course, in modern America, you better have the full complement of SUVs, and they have those at Brett Paul and Jim Paul's Valley Group of GM dealers, and also those GMC Sierra trucks that everybody likes too. I've checked with my truck people, and it's a very well-regarded truck, the Sierra. I've never owned one in my life, but if you're a truck owner, I got the sworn statements from friends of mine who drive trucks that the Sierra is just fine. Good interest rates right now, and the prices are pretty dang good too. Brett Paul, Jim Paul's Valley Group of GM dealers, Apple Valley and Hastings. Check them out.
All right, so you are the Vikings general manager. They have named Patrick Reusse the Vikings general manager here. They fired Kwesi, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And
He
they've
should have
named you
been
the
there
GM.
long. That's a very short tenure for Kwesi, but yes.
It was. Yeah, the Lewis Seen draft pick kind of did him in, so he was fired, and now you're the general manager.
How
And
about
Kirk
Andrew
Cousins,
Booth? Let's not forget Andrew Booth, who can get into
Asamoah.
fights, but he can't get into action. But anyway, yes,
Yep.
go ahead.
So I am Kirk Cousins' agent, and I come to you and I say, all right, new general manager Patrick, my client would love to play football for the Vikings for 2 more years. It's not going to be cheap, but let's have a conversation. What do you say to me?
2 years, 50 million total. Yes. Otherwise, no. And take a hike. You're not that good. You're okay, but we were 4. The Vikes were 4-4 with you this year. Remember that. Now we appreciate the 13-4 season. We don't appreciate the way that finished, and you had part of the responsibility for that. And you're very popular with a good segment of the fan base now, but it's time for me to move on because I'm going to draft a good quarterback here, and I'm going to get a cheap backup, and we're going to go from there and see what happens. And don't worry, Justin Jefferson will like the guy we wind up with. That's what everybody's worried. He likes Kirk. Well, the reason he said he liked Kirk is he didn't want Dobbsy or Mullins or Jared Hall throwing to him. So yes, if I was the greatest wide receiver in the world, I would prefer Kirk to those 3 guys too. But
that is the narrative. That is the runaway train narrative that has left the station and has gone so far the other way that we'll see now. And even Jefferson came out a couple weeks ago and said, "Well, I hope everyone after seeing some of these games appreciates Kirk." But so if okay, we've established that Kirk Cousins is better than journeyman backups. Congratulations, I guess.
Yes. And by the way, Josh Dobbs won a couple of games that Kirk might not have won. So let's not say that it was a complete waste. But then again, his third start was really shaky, and his fourth start was a complete train wreck. And I don't blame him for switching and going elsewhere. But it's time. It's time to get your quarterback. Come on, let's. Otherwise, you end up doing the whole Denny thing from the '90s, and I think it worked a little better in the '90s. The competition for the young quarterbacks wasn't quite as bad, but he had he brought in McMahon, and they made the playoffs, which really was a tribute to that team because he stunk, McMahon. And then he had Moon for 3 years. He had he had the other guys kicking around. He had Gannon Salisbury 1 year, right? Couldn't decide which one. And it's it's time to get your quarterback. And there's this, as I said yesterday, they got 4 or 5 options this year, and you're going to get beat Sunday, and you're going to end up drafting 10th, 11th, 12th, and you throw a good player into some deal, and a good draft choice, and you can get up to 7 or 8 and draft a really good quarterback, and let's go that route. And goodbye, Kirk. For me, when you got up there with your shirt off, that's when I would have released you. But anyway,
wow, that
I mean,
was
he
the
is
last
chiseled
show.
though, Pat. I mean, that's a man.
Oh,
That
he
really,
is
he's
chiseled.
giving
He
himself
wanted to
a
show
good
off his
shape.
nipples. He wanted to
good.
show off his Christian nipples. So I guess that was okay. So
Christian nipples.
Sounds like a song.
I just threw that.
Oh, wait,
I wonder what they thought of him down at Dad's church.
Do you want to see my Christian nipples? My Irish Catholic nipples?
Oh, God.
So
No,
you know what the
anyway.
funny thing though is, Patrick? The funniest thing is, speaking of Vikings narratives as the offseason approaches, the funniest one I think is the Jefferson one of, oh my God, if Jefferson doesn't like the quarterback, he's going to play out his contract next season and leave us. He is not going to take the field without a new contract. Now, they could trade him. I don't think he's going to force his way out, but there is no way on God's green earth that man is going to play on the final year of his contract after being hurt so he could see who the quarterback is and maybe suffer a catastrophic injury while doing so.
And plus, they still have the hammer of being able to, keep him. They can retain him too, right? If they want to. I mean, they can.
And they have already. But he's not going to play on the last year of a rookie contract when he's in line to get a massive payday with a lot of guarantees.
I agree with you, and he's going to get it. He's going to get it here, and and you're not going to have money for Kirk. I don't think it's that big a problem.
Well, but, also too, he watches, Justin Jefferson kicks back on a college football playoff semifinal Monday night, and he watches Michael Penix throw for 450 yards, or he went to LSU, right? Jaden Daniels. Let's say the Vikings trade up a couple spots and draft Jaden Daniels, fellow LSU guy, right? Do you think Justin Jefferson's going to be like, no, I'm following Kirk to Atlanta. I demand to be traded to Pittsburgh.
Kirk's going back to the Commanders, and I want to go with him. Dang it, Kirk!
Both going together.
Everything is all forgiven, or it's wonder the people that have become the big Kirk psychos in the last couple of years are willing to grasp anything to tell you he's irreplaceable, and I don't think he is. So, plus he's 36? Did you tell me 36?
He'll be 36 next season. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go. The ship has sailed. Come on, let's go. This is it's time to redo a lot of things around here, but one of those things is not getting rid of Justin Jefferson, and another one is I'd like to see him bring back Hunter. I'd hate to see that pass rush without Hunter right now, but then again, I wouldn't be surprised if they end up trading him. Would you?
Well, they can't trade Daniil.
Oh, that's right.
Free agent.
He signed that deal, so he's a free agent, flat out.
Correct. Just unrestricted, open market free agent.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, that'd be a bad loss. Wow. Good luck, Brian Flores, trying to piece that defense together with no pass rushers and no defensive.
And that's the risk they ran. So they were, they clawed their way back right before the trade deadline. They win that game against the Packers. And I think that was the week before the trade deadline. And so they decided, even though they lost Kirk, they decided we're going to push forward. And we're not going to trade. I mean, there would have been suitors for Daniil Hunter at the trade deadline. That's kind of the latest trend, right? Look how many pass rushers have been traded the last few years. And they decided we'd rather go to unrestricted free agency and make a run at the playoffs this year. And they come up short. It was basically the worst case scenario for Daniil. If he walks and you miss the playoffs, boy.
Yeah. Here's the deal. The other thing is we blame this on Ziggy and the Wilfs. This is another fine bit of lingo you get from Viking fandom, is the Wilfs want a competitive rebuild. The Wilfs are the ones that are no, they're not. They got 65,000 morons in there screaming skull. They're making $250 million a year. Whether they competitively rebuild or stink, whether they're 4-13 to get a big high draft choice, or they're 7-10 and missing the playoffs, or 13-4, doesn't make any difference to their bottom line. And they might feel better walking out of the arena after the palatial place after a victory, but they're not going in and saying, we got to have a competitive rebuild. But nobody's going to come out and say, our goal this year is to stink and get a higher draft choice. Who's going to say that? Nobody, nobody. It's not like this franchise is unique in saying, oh, yeah, we think we're going to win this year. Of course you say that. That's the way it works.
And to your point, they don't do it very often, but when they win like 4 or 5 games, they won, go back the Ponder draft year, the Khalil draft year, like there haven't been many, but did they not sell out every game that year and the next year, right? And by the way, when you draft a quarterback, you get to sell that quarterback's jersey now. You get to make all the merchandise sales.
Their fandom though does get in the way at times. It's not the money, it's the fandom. It's the fact that they think it's cool, that they love to go to a stadium where they think that their team can win, and so they don't have the patience to put up with that. So it's not money. It's actually, they grew up Giants fans and they didn't like what they saw. I don't blame them in the 70s and 80s. And then they saw the team start to turn a corner, and the Giants made a couple of runs, I think, as a wild card or one run. And that's the issue from the fan standpoint.
But here's my next question.
I don't think let me say one thing. I don't think the fans are leaving. They might be unhappy, but they're still going to be buying.
No, I'm saying the Wilfs being fans.
Oh, I see.
It's not they're going to make their dough, but they are huge fans. They love to show up at the games and feel like the team is relevant for their own sake.
Okay, but that's insinuating, and now we're like kind of fighting a hypothetical, we're trying to get inside the minds of the Wolves here, but that the insinuation that if they say goodbye to Kirk Cousins and they draft Jaden Daniels or Michael Penix, they're going to be bad.
Yeah, I'm not saying that quarterback.
They might
I'm
be.
Just saying that's their feeling.
The Texans drafted C.J. Stroud and got better.
Yeah.
It's not a guarantee that you draft a rookie quarterback. I know people are freaked out over some of the whiffs the Vikings have had at quarterback, but they might get better if they find the right 22, 23-year-old quarterback.
And the fact of the matter is, if they don't bring back Kirk, people will be whining for 10 minutes, but if they get one of these guys, they're going to be all in on him. They're going to be all in.
Fans are going to be so excited.
By the time mini camp comes around, we'll be panting with excitement. We just don't want to get one of those quarterbacks at number 12 who is feeling so sorry for himself. He runs off to Wisconsin and gets married in the middle of the season. So, who's having such emotional issues he can't handle it. Kirk, to me, Christian is, in addition to his emotional immaturity, had a lot to do with his failures, I think. So,
and we were excited about that too. That's the thing that people forget. Yeah, you're right, Pat. If you draft a quarterback first round, and my God, if it's top 10, you're exactly right. Fans are going to be so jazzed up. You're going to have very few people say, "How could you have gotten rid of Kirk Cousins and drafted a top 10 QB?" And the Ponder thing. I remember when Dilfer came out and pounded Ponder. So this is a terrible pick. This guy sucks.
Yes, right.
We were all like, "Screw you, Trent Dilfer. This guy's going to be great."
Yeah. So here's the other thing about fans too is they got to find out. We got to play Jaron Hall because they got to find out if he's the quarterback of the future. No, he isn't. He's a 5th round, 25-year-old guy who might continue to be on your team for 3 or 4 years, but he was not drafted to be the quarterback of the future in the 5th round. He was drafted to be a body,
But it's nice to know that officially after the first half of that last game.
But every time they draft some guy, the only guy that ever gets drafted as the quarterback of the future is somebody in the first round, for goodness sakes. Maybe the middle, maybe some guy that you think is a real sleeper in the 2nd round. But if you're drafted after that, you're a body. Kellen Mond wasn't the quarterback of the future either. They should have kept him as a punt returner or something. But,
every year we go through and update the exercise too, because you get the pushback. People love to bring up the one exception as a new rule, right? Well, wait a second. you're not guaranteed anything by drafting 12th. Look at Brock Purdy. He was the last pick in the draft. And I said, okay, you're isolating one example. And we've done the exercise. There's literally only like 7 or 8 quarterbacks in the last 25 years that have been 2-year starters drafted after the 3rd round. And Kirk is one of them. Kirk was a 4th round pick, but it is easily the exception and not the rule.
And Kirk got drafted in the year of Robert Griffin and was supposed to never play. He was supposed to be the backup, and then Griffin got hurt, and the rest of it is history. But it's the conclusions that are reached are just because a quarterback gets drafted later on doesn't mean that, oh boy, they really like this guy. Wade Wilson was what? 14th round or something like that.
It's like Brad Johnson was like 12th round, Pat.
Yeah. And Wade Wilson stayed here 8 years as the backup. That's why we drafted him. He's a backup, and then he ended up playing. So,
yeah, that would be nice. That's if Jaron Hall could be the backup to whoever they draft.
Yeah. Yes, everybody
in a year or two, that would be great.
I would be happy, but it's time to you can't invest $90 million in this guy for 2 years to keep him. I just to me, and plus Willie take a 2-year deal. He's never been, the thing I admired most about him is when he became a free agent, and they said, how much of that do we have to guarantee? And he said, his agent said 100%. He was the first guy that did that, and I gave him credit for that. No, if you tell me you're going to pay me this much, I saw Chad Greenwood at his daughter's basketball game a couple of weeks ago, and every time I see him, I got the thought that they stole half his money and then had him on the field every play and never gave him any money back. He was supposed to make 7. They paid him 3.5, and then he never left the field because some guy got hurt.
And now him and his family are struggling, right? As you can see.
Yeah, they're having a hard time. I think his wife's in the financial business just to make things even better. So anyway.
They would always go to Chad and Rudolph to pay somebody else.
Nice win for Ben Johnson last night.
We got 2 Big Ten wins, right?
2 Big Ten wins, 2-1.
Should have had 3.
We said a couple days ago that this is like key game of season. You're playing a struggling team on the road. If you should go down, and this is one of the Big Ten teams you can beat on the road right now. If you go down and play that way, and they beat them, so good for them. I think he's got a good chance to survive. I don't think it's I really do. I think they can win 7 or 8 Big Ten games, and then that's enough. The big problem will be keeping guys after this season with the transfer portal and not having any money. That's what like Battle. This team, if you still had Battle on this team shooting threes, you'd be looking pretty good. Instead, he supposedly got a couple $100,000.
I was gonna say, I think he got 2 from the Buckeyes.
State. Yeah. I mean, so they're coming to poach you, and that's the problem when you're the Gophers Dinkytown Collective is all about football. So
hey, do we know how the Gopher medical staff would react to? Remember Dennis Evans, that center who said, "Sorry, Gophers, I'm going to Louisville." Not medically cleared to continue playing basketball,
and they won't tell us what the reason is. Whether it's they won't tell us what it is. But I was looking at his box score early, and then sometimes he wasn't even in it. He was averaging 1 point a game, and
let's go get the Twins medical staff to clear him. Let's bring him back to Minnesota.
Yeah. No recruit in the history of the Star Tribune has ever been covered closer than Dennis was.
I thought Marcus was going to adopt him, but there
might be time still.
He was. You looked at his high school stats though, and you said he should block shots, and he does that, but he's got to score some points. Shouldn't he? He's 7 foot tall. He should be scoring 30 a game, not 12 or something.
In high school, yeah.
But
sure.
I wonder if it's like emotional because he got down there and he's can't play. They had two. Now most people call him a 4-star. Some people call him a 5-star, Evans. But they've had 2 5 stars. Neither made it neither of them's on the court down there now. It's a disaster. Louisville basketball is a disaster with Kenny Payne. He's going to get fired at the end of the year.
See, this is what happens when you choose the moral high ground of we don't want prostitution rings on campus anymore. Your basketball program goes to hell.
What happens?
You know?
Bring back Rick Pitino, for Christ's sake.
That's right. Yeah. Yes. Rick. Bring back Rick. He's at St. John's.
I know. Go get Rick
He's
back.
only 71. I looked it up today. He's only 71.
I take him tomorrow.
Oh, heavens, yes. Yeah. Not
Come
his
in and
kid,
cheat all you want.
Not his kid, but his kid is, how much money in their careers have the Pitino family paid the Mashburns? That's what I want to know.
A lot.
Because he had him at Kentucky. He was Ricky's first superstar at Kentucky, Jamal Sr., who's, by the way, a very successful businessman in Kentucky. Jamal Mashburn Sr. But then, Rick got him down in New Mexico, and that couldn't have been cheap either. Not anymore, anyway, in the transfer era. So.
Oh, New Mexico, the state of cast-off Gopher coaches. The last.
Yes, not anymore though, Jerry. Jerry is now. Did you see Jerry might be going to Vanderbilt as a consultant? Somebody said.
Yeah,
that's always the first step back. Like he always gets burnt out. Needs to stop coaching. Then he'll consult for a year.
He loves those consulting jobs that you get paid, you pontificate, because he had it at Virginia Tech, and that guy got fired, and now they came back and have a pretty good year. So
consulting jobs are great, man. You're accountable to nothing. You can just give your advice, get paid, and whatever happens, you're not getting fired.
And here's the problem. I said this before, though. He walked away from $8 million here, and he's never gotten over it. He's never gotten over it. Why did I do that? Why didn't I just take my meds for 2 more weeks and try to come back? So I don't think it was a momentary thing. They were not playing well. He was feeling terrible. He had about 5 seizures in 2 weeks. And he, instead of taking another medical leave and collecting his money, he walked. And I don't think he's ever gotten over walking away from $8 million. And let's face it, most of us would feel bad about walking away from $8 million.
It'd be nice to have a shot at that, actually.
Have a Powerball ticket worth $8 million and lose it. That's
You know what though? Jerry likes to bounce around.
You feel bad because you couldn't go to the state or the store and said, "No, I really did have that number. I just lost it." I'll take half. Just give me half. So.
Jerry likes to bounce around. I become convinced he's a serial bouncer.
No, I think he would have stayed here. I think he was popular enough here. He would have stayed here, and he was really had a hard time taking criticism. So he had a hard time saying it's all on me. He wasn't an expert at saying it's all on me.
So you're saying if Jerry could have been a little bit more like PJ, he might have stuck around.
Said it's all it's all on me, and then.
And PJ takes it well. PJ takes it perfectly. Outside criticism. Yeah, he takes it real well.
He does.
Any coach who says it's all on me is trying to get ahead of the people who are going to blame them because they hate to get blamed.
Well, plus they never tell us what is on them.
Correct. They do all of it. It's all of it.
But I like specifics. Where do you feel you really screwed up today, as it was all on you? And nobody really ever answers that question.
Yeah. So we get that all of it's on you, but specifically within that, could you
go where do you think you screwed up this game? Since it's all on you.
I think you should go to the press conference next year. The first time the Gophers lose, Pat, just stroll in, and when PJ says it's all on me.
Babu might hit me with her purse or some damn thing if I ask a question like that. Not a bag, not a purse. She must carry a big bag with.
She doesn't go to football post gamers. You'd be fine.
Not anymore, because she's had too much to drink beforehand. Okay.
The tailgates ordinarily do get rolling early enough that post game.
Now that there's a group of us living the sweet life now at Gopher football games, so we don't bother with those post game press conferences.
Okay. All right, gentlemen. Have a good weekend.
See you,
we'll see you next week. That's Reusse Unchained here on Score North.